Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Coast to coast college football.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone.
The sickest college football podcast.
There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards.
It's going to be sick.
That's right.
That's right.
It's the Sick Podcast, Coast to Coast College Football Show. I'm John Lund, the East Coast side. He's Dan Lynch, the West Coast transplant, but back on the East Coast for this week's show at least. It's Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025 as we record this, and we are excited to bring you yet another college football show. Dan, welcome back to God's country time zone. Welcome back to the bright lights of New York City. We welcome you back with open arms to the heat, humidity, and grossness that is summertime, although you're coming at when the weather starts becoming a little bit more bearable over here. So it's a good time to make your debut again.
Yeah, no doubt. The humidity wasn't that bad for the last couple of days here in the beautiful city of New York. But it is good to be back. I did watch the first week of college football on East Coast time. I'm used to the West Coast time where it starts at 9 a.m. And then, we get that late night game, which is like 9 o'clock Pacific. So, yeah, it was a bit of an adjustment. And I had to kind of remind myself, I'm like, yeah, this is how most of the nation does watch college football. So salute to so many people who stay up late, watch that Hawaii game, watch that San Jose State game, watch that Oregon State game, watch that USC game. I mean, like, it's tough because if you're having a day, you're out with the boys having a good time. I think it's 10:30. It's like, man, yeah, it's late, bro. But hey, week one completely delivered, and I was staying up for everything.
Week one did deliver, and shout out to the SIDs, the schools for making some exciting games happen, and the end result also be exciting. While some of the numbers next to the team's names had them go down as upsets, some actually were upsets, others a disappointing Monday night showcase for a certain school that got pomp and circumstance like you've never seen a team receive. From those at the actual game to the broadcast itself to the dud that they put forth on the football field. And now questions abound for that program in North Carolina football. But of the big matchups, I guess what would stand out from week one as the upset, the shock to a lot of folks was Florida State taking down Alabama. Even though it being at home, the season the Seminoles are coming off from couple wins, and Alabama being what they are in Alabama, and a season for Kalen DeBoer where it's kind of a prove us something, coach, because last year wasn't what we wanted. If you're an Alabama fan, here's where you can get off to the right foot. And Thomas Castellanos talked his shit in the offseason. Nick Saban's not there to save you anymore, and he went out and put together a winning performance. The stats don't necessarily shock you with what he was able to do, but he won them that football game, the whole team. And the Seminoles, Mike Norvell, came through with that win. That was really the big exclamation mark for the first week as far as what was unexpected. You could guess Clemson, LSU, all those games are most likely coin flips in the scheme of things. But that was the one that was like, whoa, college football's here, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, when I was watching that game, the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, Florida State is fast, but also extremely physical. You have about like 3 to 5 five-star recruits on that defensive line, and Florida State was pushing them around. And if you just go from a physical standpoint, look at the receivers. There was a couple of screen passes that the receivers wanted nothing to do with their defensive backs blocking or anything along that. Ryan Williams, the 17-year-old from a year ago, who's now 18 for everyone in the country. I was like, what happened to you, dude? Like, what was going on? I mean, a part of playing the receiver position is blocking. Granted, he made some really impressive catches, and I'm like, okay, that kid's going to be a beast in the NFL. But yeah, that was probably the most shocking win. But I loved it. I loved it for Mike Norvell, just kind of this like redemption story, like, hey, don't count us out. And Castronal, I mean, listen, bro, backed it up. Like when he made those comments, what was that in like, was that right before media day?
Yeah.
So in the middle of the summer, I was like,
Sometime.
dude, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
whoa,
Why give
like,
them more bulletin board
why?
material if they don't need it?
Exactly. But he backed it up. He backed it up. And in the ACC this year, which is going to be, we talked a lot about the Big 12 being the conference of chaos. The ACC very, 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 very well likely could definitely be the conference of chaos too, because there was a lot of teams that are just going to be good. TCU last night, I mean, granted, they played you at UNC. We don't really know what's going on with them, but they were really impressive. Utah, throw those U's up, bro, because they are dangerous. So it's going to be really, really fun, man. I think week 1 was a great tone setter for what we should expect for the regular season.
Yeah, I think for the ACC, and we talked about them when we did our preview and went over what was said in spring meetings, went over what was said in media days. They needed to come out and make themselves known to casual college football fans, to fans that think that they're just the worst of the Power 4 conferences and they're always going to be down, Clemson and everybody else. Well, the two schools that you needed to do well did, in Florida State and Miami, taking down Notre Dame, and Carson Beck coming onto the scene in his first game and again showing out. We didn't really know much about what Notre Dame's quarterback situation was going to look like, but Miami as a whole, that one dude's catch in the end zone, one hand, catch of the year already after week 1. Carson Beck leading his guys open, wide receivers making plays, defense stepping up big. We've said, and others also echo the sentiment, and it's an obvious one for the ACC, is you need those two schools to be good because of their past and because that'll let people know that the ACC is back. For those two schools to do that, Clemson coming up short, but they're playing against an incredible LSU team that is most likely going to make it to the college football playoff. So again, that could have gone either way. But what you saw from those two teams, for the ACC as a whole, they had a couple, I don't want to say stinkers, but unfortunate losses that you hoped would have flipped the other way. But overall, for those two teams to win those two games, they got to be feeling great.
Yeah. Also Georgia Tech. Listen, I know Colorado is not the same Colorado as last year, but still, Colorado played really tough. I mean, when I think about like the most like punch you in the face and then laugh at you because you're bleeding team in the country, that's Georgia Tech. And Colorado kept up with them, man. I mean, Coach Prime talked about the clock management at the end. He gave an answer today, which was kind of like, well, you've been thinking about that for a little bit, right, Coach Prime?
Yeah.
You had that dialed up. Just take the blame, bro. But anyway, they still won the game, right? The whole point of college football when you're playing a game on Saturdays is to win the game, or Thursday or Friday, whatever. Is to win the game, and they figured it out. They pretty much almost had a perfect weekend, right? Except from the Clemson loss. So shout out to the ACC, because I think they were kind of being forgotten about for a little bit of time. But really, man, like I said, I am just so excited for not necessarily week 2. I mean, there's some okay games. But for the rest of college football, man, the rest of the season, it's going to be a complete blast in every single conference.
It was funny to watch or hear about the Heisman conversation already, the Heisman watch, the live odds. Literally, as Arch Manning is playing against Ohio State, his odds are going up and down and fluctuating on like every pass, not even by quarter or by touchdown thrown. Every pass is a decision that Vegas is moving his odds different ways. I believe Garrett Nussmeier now jumped ahead with LSU beating Clemson. Arch fell down to, I think, maybe 4th. Carson Beck jumped. Like, it's not really worth paying attention about in general, but just for the narrative of people kind of keeping an eye on those sort of things. What folks were saying about Arch Manning, though, on Saturday, it was just incredible to see happen, because the stage was an incredible, monumental feat to have to start your college career as a starter, playing against the defending champs, you don't necessarily get as much help as you would have hoped for from your receivers on some throws.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily get the help you would want from Sark in play calling, especially early in the first quarter and the first half in general. I thought he was going to come out with his book after he's been sitting on this game for months, and the first scripted drive, as we saw Monday night, how important scripted drives were. Hello, North Carolina and Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Billy B
Scripted
back in
drives
school.
from Stark. You figured there'd be 3, 4, 5, and before you blinked, it'd be 21-0, 14-7, something to get them on the board, and just nothing came from the first times they had the football, which would have been their moment, and it was just disappointing and deflating and all the words. But also, it's his first game, and it's Ohio State against an incredible defense and a team most likely, once again, going to make the college football playoff and contend for the Big Ten. We don't have to write this kid off that he's not going to have any success in college football and he doesn't deserve the Heisman and blah, blah, blah. They're going to play 3 opponents following that game that they're going to win handedly. We'll see how he does in those, the quote-unquote cupcake games. He has an opportunity to at least get back to where the bar was set now with the Heisman narrative in the next 3 games. But let's just have him throw a couple games under his belt. Sure. Did you expect him to play great because he's sat in that system for 2 years, because of all the expectations? Maybe. But I wasn't as high on him as so many people were, but that doesn't mean I wasn't expecting to go out and be awful and be happy that he was. The narrative around it, and it's just fascinating to see how it's evolved in college football, where you're a GOAT or a god based on 4 quarters of play. And just watching social media after that game, shots getting taken, it was just crazy to see what everybody's opinion was on Arch Manning, because everybody had one.
As fast as they will build you up, it's as fast as they will burn you down. I'm a huge New York Giants fan. Eli Manning is my GOAT. And
I'm a Denver Broncos fan. Peyton Manning is mine.
There you go. So
welcome to coast college football, folks. We've had it good, baby.
We're a Manning family stands right here. So the first thing, I guess Arch got rocked in the second quarter, late, and then the first meme that pops up is that Eli meme where he's just I'm like, oh,
Eli
it's already starting. It's already starting. Arch also is not playing behind the same offensive line that they had last year with a first round pick at a tackle who is a complete animal and will be really good in the NFL. The run game isn't necessarily the same. Tight end play isn't necessarily the same. They got some things to figure out there. But going back to Ohio State, right? It's how are they just revamping and rebuilding high school recruiting?
Yeah.
And keeping those high school recruits in the program and making them say, hey, you're not playing yet because these guys are that much better than you and they're all going to go to the NFL. And then when it's your turn, you're going to go to the NFL, but please stay. If you stay here, you're going to win and get opportunities. That's what it is at Ohio State. They have just dominated the last 4 or 5 years of recruiting and have guys who are in the system, who learn the system, learn from older guys, right? That's where I'm looking at Ohio State. I'm like, man, they are so deep. But still, listen, again, it's a very long season. We've talked all summer long. You don't have to go undefeated. You don't even have to necessarily lose. You could lose 2 games and still make it to the college football playoff and thrive and catch fire and go. So I am not giving up on them at all. I'm not giving up on Arch at all. He looks exactly like the part that we all thought he's going to be. And again, let's be real. He'll be back next year too. So if this year doesn't necessarily work out and they don't win a national championship, that's fine, whatever. But next year is really going to be the telling sign of hey, is Arch that guy? Is Arch really going to move on with his team? Is he going to take that next level? But I'm not giving up on him at all. Sark is probably the best play caller in the country. The Texas defense hasn't really not gotten talked about this week at all. I mean, they did not show up at all.
Also, too, though, if you told Texas fans before the game, hey, Ohio State's only going to score 14.
Yeah.
Great. We're going to win.
Cool.
17-14
at the
worst.
Yes.
We'll take that all the time. They still did enough to win. What was
You're right.
frustrating, I think, for people, specifically Longhorn fans, is you had the same things that happened to you later in the postseason last year rear their ugly head this year with, I don't know what happens when they get into the red zone. Sark has something go wrong where he gets the heebie-jeebies and he just can't focus on what the best play calls were for the situation. They tried a tush push against Ohio State's defensive line, Dan, with a first game starting quarterback in Arch Manning, not known for tush pushing in his career. You're doing a quarterback sneak when you line the whole team up behind him, so everybody in the building knows you're going to try a quarterback sneak with this dude on fourth down. That's the best way you could use his legs. Don't have him do play action and get out of the pocket and see if he can maybe run that way. No, throw him into the defensive line of Ohio State in a game where you haven't shown the ability to run the football at all. What are you doing? Just head-scratching things like that. Where, yes, he didn't make a lot of great throws. The wide receivers, some of them dropped his good throws. But you would expect your coach to come through in the situations he needed to, and I didn't think he did in a couple different situations. Now, there's an entire season to fix that game and what plagued you last season for the red zone. We got it. So I'm sure they're going to be okay. It was just, I guess, a shock for people that it didn't happen in week one. And it didn't happen for several teams in week one. The teams that were heavily hyped, that have the numbers near their name, you could argue the same for them. Clemson didn't come to expectations. Turns out Clay Klubnik might be the same dude that we saw last year. He might just not be able to come through on huge plays of the game and maybe not be somebody that you want purposely having the ball in his hands if you need a play to be made, albeit after one game. Notre Dame, what are they doing with some of their decision-making at quarterback? How come you're not pounding the rock with Jordan Love and you're trying to pass the ball all game long, albeit short passes, midway passes, but you try to screen 6 different times, and eventually Miami figured it out and picked it off for a score. So there were just frustrating parts from what we're deeming the best teams in the conference for those specific games. I think overall, as the season goes on, we're not going to remember these 1, 2, 3 plays, but people on Saturday just needed something to go off of. And there were some glaring things for each game for the losing team, but that doesn't mean it's going to follow them the rest of the season. And as you mentioned, you could lose a couple of these, man. It's going to be okay.
You definitely could. And all these losses, they were on the road, right?
Yeah.
Like that has something to do with a mental state. Like, hey, we're staying at the same hotel that we normally have. I mean, you're on the road. I mean, listen, Ohio State's a very tough place to play. Granted, if it's at noon or at 8 o'clock at night, but it's still a very tough place to play. He had Lee Corso's last game. He makes the pick in front of the entire crowd. I mean, come on. Like, you walk into that, like, this is my first actual start. Oh, here we go. So yeah, it's going to be a very long season. That's why I think we love college football, because the way you start doesn't necessarily mean it's the way you're going to finish. And there's no rule against improving, right? Like, there isn't.
As far as we know, they have not changed that with transfer portal and NIL and different laws and different court appearances. They have not changed that part of football. You're right.
You are allowed to improve, okay? You are allowed to get better as the season goes. And again, Texas, you could lose another game and still make the playoff, right? Depending how the SEC is going to work out. Bama, I mean, listen, I pretty much was like, there's no way in hell Notre Dame's going to make the college football playoff after losing to Northern Illinois last year. And they were in the college football playoff championship last year. So yeah, it's just this is why we love college football though, because like, hey, week 1, amazing. It was so much fun, but guess what? We still have another 5 months of this, man. And every single week it's going to get better and better and better. And the storylines are going to keep coming and coming and coming.
Shout out to Lee Corso as well. Not only did all 6 of his schools that he coached at win, all 6 of his picks for Saturday, Sunday, Monday hit. If you put down an $100 parlay on his 6 teams, now some of them were favorites, but he went, 4 underdogs, I think, out of the 6. You would have won $10,200 plus dollars. Shame on all of us for not trusting Coach Corso one last time. Didn't even think to cross my mind because, again, these games, they're all going to be toss-ups. You're just throwing your hat in the ring and hoping for the best. Little did we know, he knew. We talk about sports being scripted. Of course, they're going to tell him what's going on for his last hurrah. They don't want to make him look bad. Stupid us.
Yeah,
Stupid
yeah.
us.
And,
Well-deserved retirement, by the way, for Lee
oh,
Corso
for
at
sure.
90 years old.
For sure. I mean, still doing his thing. And, oh, man. But I definitely was watching College Game Day that morning and just being like, man, I'm old. Yeah. Like, I remember seeing so many of his, like the highlights that they brought up with, everything that he's done over the 35 years being at ESPN. Unbelievable career and just so entertaining, man. When he was in his prime, like that guy was just the cream of the crop.
Spitting fire every Saturday.
Spitting
You didn't know who he was going to go after. Coaches would get a little pissy, but then be like, it's okay. Like, I don't think we're going to see in today's media landscape somebody that could be as beloved where they could say one thing good next week, one thing bad about you, and you still be completely fine with how they're speaking and what they're talking about. He was just really grandfathered in, but he started this whole pregame, post-show talking about what's going on and predicting things. He was the pioneer for the college football side of it. And
there's no Pat McAfee without him. There's no John Lund without him.
No.
There's no just general excitement before a game just to watch it and be like, hey, I'm pumped up. As much as I'm pumped up to watch the game that they're talking about, I'm pumped up to watch them talk about it too.
Like, I'm somewhat playing a wrestling character. I'm embracing what you think I am.
Yeah.
But I also know football. I also coached for many years. I come from the game. I played it. I've been around it. I'm talking to these players and coaches behind the scenes. You think I'm this circus character, which he did before he got to Louisville and trying to ramp up getting their program excited about football because they were a basketball school. He went to the circus in town and rode an elephant around for 45 minutes at the circus to get people to come out to the football games when he was at Louisville as their head coach. He said he pulled both of his groins because he was grabbing on for dear life atop of elephant. Imagine Lee Corso on top of an elephant, as small as he is. Just he didn't fit in the harness. There's a couple different stories of the thousands that he has from different things he's done. So it'll be a shame that we won't get to see him every Saturday. And who knows, at some point we might get someone, but I don't think we'll ever have anyone again as close to what he is, at least not for our generation. Children down the line in 30, 40 years might have their own version of Lee Corso, but he's not going to compare to what we had. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, from a coaching perspective, from someone who made the transition from coaching to broadcasting, I don't think so. I mean, Saban's actually been great on air. I have enjoyed
it. Yeah,
he is great. But I guess kind of maybe ours, it might be McAfee. It might be, I guess. Some people love him, some people hate him, but I think
he is trying to develop that character wrestling persona every week, standing on top of the chair.
Yeah. I thought he's been a little bit more chill this year, though.
He has been more calm. Well, it is still early, but he has been more calmed down. Maybe he was waiting for Lee to take a step away from the desk so he could go crazy. And maybe he's waiting for Saban to do the same because you see he kind of glances over at him when he's doing his routine. Like, is this going to be okay? But Saban's just reading his papers. He doesn't care what's going on next to him. No interest in what's going on. He's waiting to see what he's going to say next. Yeah. So we'll see who the next iteration of all this will be, at least on the ESPN side. Fox has their crew of like the two schools that they care about former players being from to talk about what's happening with what they have going on their noon kickoff shows. It was a great week one. It really hit on most of the notes that we wanted. It ended for a lot of people hysterically. For a lot of people, it was a jovial time watching North Carolina parade their greats through the luxury boxes. Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor, Roy Williams, on and on. Jordan Hudson, the stars among stars, of course, on camera as well. This big broadcast from ESPN, the main announcers, Kirk Herbstreit on another private jet. He and his dog flew private to Ohio State. They couldn't get Lee Corso on a fucking private jet. They had him fly Southwest. We can't throw a little bit of money down to get Lee and his family on a private jet, but we got the dog on a private jet. We got the dog in the broadcast booth, Dan. The dog, last couple minutes of the game, it's going so bad. There's nobody left in the stadium. It looks like it's COVID days. So he brings his dog up to the booth and throws a headset on the dog. The dog gets treated better than anybody stepping in foot inside that stadium. It's incredible. Kirk Herbstreit, the only person to ever have a dog. This game started as miraculously as you would have ever hoped for as a Tarheel fan that wants football to come back to that school. The scripted drive right down the field, touchdown. The defense stopping TCU. Here we are. North Carolina football is finally back. And man, did the air get taken out of that balloon a little bit in the first half. Still plenty of time in the second half, 20-7, more than enough opportunity. Right out of the gate, a 75-yard run untouched for TCU. And Sonny Dykes flips around his little pom-pom because he finally will be on a nationally televised game, not losing to the likes of Deion Sanders, not losing to the likes of Georgia, the college football playoff. We got this one. Because he could exhale and relax, and we're okay. And man, did they pour it on. And watching Bill Belichick, not only coming into the stadium, nobody around him, walking into the stadium, nobody around him, standing on the sideline, nobody around him. He looked more miserable than you've ever seen him, and that's saying something. Like he wanted to be anywhere else than coaching this football team. And then that cameraman had the gall and the balls to walk with him as he was leaving the field. And you could see Bill like glancing at him. I think if he got close enough, he was going to either go for the hand or say something. And thankfully, Sonny Dykes was waiting by with all he wrote to get them off there and get an interview, because I can't believe they were following him out of the place. And in the backdrop, there's like 6 fans left at the game.
Yeah.
Goodness, what they wanted that broadcast to be, it couldn't have possibly been worse for the broadcast teams and for the school.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That first drive, I was like, here we go. Like, if there's anyone to do this, it's Bill Belichick. But after they scored, right, on that drive, they panned right to him, right? And that
sure. On the next drive.
I think Bill knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I truthfully do, because he even said in the pregame, Holly Rowe asked him, he was like, you made your first head coaching debut in the NFL, actually 35 years to the date. And he was like, well, yeah, we also got ran over by the Cowboys.
Hopefully we don't get blown out again.
That doesn't happen again. Well, I think it was actually worse. But what's getting lost in this is how good of a coach Sonny Dykes is. And
Josh Hoover's a great quarterback coming back again.
Oh, I mean, one, and also two, like I love uniforms, right? That was a hell of a uniform matchup. Okay, the Tarheel, that Carolina blue is absolutely beautiful. I say top 3 uniform, but TCU also looked great on TV last night. But listen, they were getting completely disrespected all preseason. No one was talking about them at all. And when you have legends like that in the crowd, I think from a perspective of from a player, is like Michael Jordan's here, bro.
Yeah.
This is the only time I might be in the same breathing air as Michael Jordan. I'm going to show up, and those kids at TCU really, really did. But yeah, Sonny Dykes is a hell of a coach. That staff is unbelievable. They're going to be dangerous in the Big 12. And I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the year at UNC. Maybe they win a couple games in the ACC. I don't know, but I'm going to say this now on September 2nd. I do not think they're going to get rid of Bill Belichick no matter what. Even if they don't win a game this year, you got to let this thing live out for another year, see what happens. The other side of it too, right? And this also kind of gets lost. That Max Johnson touchdown pass to his brother was awesome. I mean, if everyone remembers what happened to Max last year, literally almost lost his leg playing the game of football. Just to see that, like, those are the little things in the sport that I'm just like, as a former player, I'm like, I love shit like that, because it's like, that's just awesome, man. Like, even to get back. If I'm Bill Belichick, I'm getting Gio Lopez. You look like you belong at Southern Alabama, bro. You're just not. You're not at that level yet, man.
When they put up the stat,
give the ball to Max.
When was the last time they completed a pass? And it just kept getting later and later into the night. And we're into the 10 o'clock hour after an 8-something kickoff, and they still hadn't completed a pass again yet. It was getting rough for them to try to find things to talk about. And whoever in the booth, on graphics decided to throw that up there was just a chef's kiss to what was happening. Man.
Savage.
And shout out too to the return of the TCU social media team, because they were right on it after the game with their usual MP4 video, as they refer to it as, and then just finding old tweets from people about, oh, this is the best day ever. Oh, is it? This is going to be what we do with Bill Belichick. And then I guess we'll never know. I mean, they were firing all night long.
They were ready.
They had these ready in the chamber. They knew what was coming.
Everything was bookmarked, ready to go.
Yeah.
Also, did you see our friend Brett McMurphy last night on Twitter?
He's a savage Twitterer, whatever,
Xer, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, he gets savage.
He gets savage, no doubt. But last night I was like, what did Bill do to you? What did Bill do to your family? Something happened there. I mean, like, he did like this whole mathematical equation. He was like, if they score another 23 points here, it will be 73-24. I was like, man, bro, like, your intern's writing this for you right now, man. It was savage. But again, I can't wait for the rest of the season, man. This
ironically, UNC backup quarterback Max Johnson is 24 years old,
yes.
The same age as Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Oof.
Okay. And then somebody had one when it was 41-7 or however high it ended up becoming, like, oh, that's funny, the same age Bill Belichick was when Jordan Hudson was 7 years old. And it's like, no, the math is even worse. You had to add 15 more years or 15 more points TCU would have had to score to get to his age when she was 7. The Savages came out of the woodwork last night. And like you said, they were ready. They had these planned. They knew what was going to happen. And there's some good nights on the old cesspool that has now become the old Twitter. And last night was one of them. If there's only one game going on and there's enough storylines for people to grab a hold of, if UNC went on to blow out TCU, you're not going to have as much fun as you did last night if you're just looking to get some jollies in from what's going on storyline wise.
But a question I was thinking about asking you all day long, John, do you think this was the best overall week one of college football in the last 10 years? Because I really was thinking about it. I was like, I think this was the most entertaining from a matchup standpoint, storyline standpoint, and then the actual results standpoint. I personally think it was.
I'd love to know what the numbers would look like if somebody went back to see as far as top 10 teams go.
Yeah.
Because at the time, Texas, Ohio State is a 1 versus 3, which you're very rarely going to get that to open a season. And then to end.
But also blue bloods too. It's not just any, it's Texas versus Ohio State.
Right.
When you ask a college football fan who's a casual, like Texas and Ohio State, the first things that come out of their mouth. So yeah, right there.
Notre Dame, Miami, Catholics versus Convicts coming back, a 6 versus a 10. And then you also had smaller matchups along the way as far as numbers next to names go, but like Alabama, Florida State, even though that they're not both ranked, but LSU, Clemson, obviously battling for the rights to Death Valley, the rights to Tigers. So you had 3 main top 10 matchups in the first week of the season. I would be hard pressed to think that that's something that used to happen, at least as far as many teams and the state of college football in the last couple decades is concerned. When things were more confined, you might have been able to get numbers like this, of course, but from there being so many options for teams that could get into a top 25 now, I mean, they hit it out of the park. And it wasn't even on purpose, which is the more fascinating part. It was almost like they all got at the, what are we going to do for the college football playoff in the future meeting, and said, hey, also let's make sure we put together the schedule for the first week of the season. Bing, bang, boom. Let's put these teams together. It was great that this all worked out as it does, and the teams are performing as they are or have last year, because there are some big names too that just don't have the same recognition or the number by their name for the season.
Yeah.
They killed it, man.
They did.
And unfortunately, it's going to lose a little pep in the step, at least
week 2,
nationally in week 2, because it's Chris Vaniti tweeted this out. Week 1 had the marquee games, but this week 2 schedule is for the real CFB fans. Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Iowa State, Baylor, SMU, Syracuse, UConn, Florida, USF, West Virginia, Ohio, Arkansas, Arkansas State, Houston, Rice, Looks like regional rivalries are back on the menu, boys.
Cyhawk game, bro.
Regional
Cyhawk game. Like, yes, but it's just to go back a little bit. Teams that I think loved not being a part of this big week 1 marquee matchups: Penn State, Georgia, Oregon. Loved not being a part of it at all, because it's like, hey, we took care of business. We know who we're going to be, and we weren't on a stage, right? So what was it, last year or the year before that? Oregon versus Georgia. Whoa, smack, right? So teams like that,
like, don't figure us out yet. We're figuring us out.
We're
more
cool.
than fine. Keep us out of your conversations.
Another team that it's kind of like they're kind of getting a little bit more shine just because they were on a national stage, and it was actually a pretty good game. But South Carolina, bro, Lenoris Sellers, very impressed with him. Fire cannon arm, big round. You could tell he's a really smart quarterback too. I'm a big believer in South Carolina right now. And Illinois too. I mean, another team that's like, hey, we didn't need to be on the big stage, but they have a big stage this weekend, which should be a great game as well. So yeah, man, just to kind of wrap everything back up of our conversation, I loved week 1. I hope they could do this every single year.
At Duke for Illinois, who would have thought that'd be an important football game, not in basketball for both of those teams, actually, because Duke didn't look too shabby. Them putting themselves together a pretty nice week 1 win over, the mighty Elons. Shout out to Wes Durham and Ryan Malik. But the quarterback played well, and he could have even had
to Elon
better
the school,
numbers.
by the way. Elon the school. Just want to Elon the school.
The school. Yes, we definitely have to clarify that in today's day and age. Yes. As far as the AP Top 25 polls concerned, for the movements around the top 10, top 25, but really the top 10 is where we saw some excitement. Ohio State, your new number 1. No big surprise there. 1,636 points. They get 55 first place votes. Penn State gets 7 coming in next. LSU jumps up to 3. Georgia jumps up 1 to 4. Miami makes the leap by 5 to number 5 in the country.
I didn't expect that.
That was a decent jump. And the way some of these teams fell for like the games that they lost, them being on the road or neutral sites, or how the end game played out where it wasn't blowouts, is interesting that people weigh things the way they do. Oregon, Texas, Clemson. Texas falls 6, Clemson falls 4, Notre Dame falls 3. And South Carolina moves up 3 spots to the top 10. So some movement that was different. I guess the biggest jumper was down. Alabama, 13 spots. To 21, despite losing to a team that is 14th in Florida State. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, okay, do you think it's – well, what happened at Duke when Krzyzewski retired, right? And they already had a guy in plan who was in the Duke family and took over and kind of understood what's going on there, right?
Former player, almost a decade assistant, kind of being groomed for the spot. He was Coach K's guy, and he's got a ton of guys that he could have picked from too to make that leap to the head coaching position for him.
So that's an outlier there, but I think probably the toughest coaching job of all time is Kalen DeBoer taking over Alabama.
Yep, and it not being be an Alabama guy to start with it.
Yeah,
you're coming in after success, and man, you could have stayed over there and kept winning football games and made a lot of people happy that don't get success over at Washington. You're not dipping your toe into the water of coaching. You're diving into the biggest lake imaginable coming to Alabama from where you are, regardless of your success. I'm with you.
And it is red, and it's full of elephants, and it's full of people just screaming, "Hey, know about the time!" Like, I mean, God. And the thing is, like,
Feinbaum shows on repeat as the elevator music. Oh no.
Yeah, and it sucks because, like, I got to not necessarily know Kalen, but I've had conversations with him when I had my time at the Pac-12. One of the nicest dudes in the entire world. Where I'm like, dude, why? Oh, I feel so bad for him. But another guy, like I brought up with Bill Belichick, is like, hey, don't jump ship on this dude, because when you look at his record, it's unbelievable what he did at so many different levels. And I think he's just a guy that just needs to kind of figure out what's kind of going on here. Maybe he brings in his own classes and gets the ball rolling there. I just wouldn't jump ship yet, because what's going to happen? You fire your coach, you bring in a whole new staff, and then you're starting back over again. These Alabama fans who are already calling for his name and like, hey, bring Saban back, let's save it. No, don't. Just let it ride out. It's going to take time. And it might not be this year. It might not even be next year, right? But when you have that guy with that football brain and his mentality, what he's brought to every single program that he's been at and has been successful, something is going to happen in Alabama. But just don't jump the ship yet, man. Just let him cook. Let's see what happens. It's only week one. There's a lot of teams in the SEC who lost this weekend who were like, wow. So, it's going to be interesting. Another team that also, we were kind of talking about, like, teams who were happy they were not in the spotlight. Arizona State. High on them in the Big 12. They took care of business against Northern Arizona State, but still, didn't look like that dominant.
No, it was kind of ugly, and Dillingham had to kind of say that after the game. He wasn't really too thrilled with it. Happy to not have that have been a game anybody cared about.
Exactly.
That's okay.
Exactly. So them falling, what they dropped one.
They only dropped one spot.
Yeah, one spot.
Illinois, and then basically switched.
Yes.
And other than that, not much movement at the bottom.
Yeah.
Indiana dropped a couple spots. Texas Tech dropped a couple spots, but that's just because other teams happen to jump up so high for how they deemed the games that they played against them. Because Texas Tech looked fine, Utah looked fine, and Indiana 27-14 over Old Dominion, but you're not going to get Indiana blowouts every week. That's not what they do. They win with the W, not necessarily going overboard with the points.
I also want to give a shout out to Josh Heupel in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because after their crazy wild offseason with Nico leaving, bad college football playoffs, I was like, I don't know, man. There might be cooked. I don't know what's going on with Heupel. He doesn't have the best media personality. He's a straight football dude. You could tell he's a straight football dude.
Guy. Sure.
But guess what? He showed up against a decent Syracuse team.
And we didn't know Fran Brown get another transfer quarterback after what he did with the first one, Kyle McCord. Who knows what they were going to bring to the table against Tennessee in a first week? It could get away from you quickly, and Tennessee just kept scoring, just kept pulling away.
Boom, boom, boom. Joey Aguilar, bro. I mean, he could be good.
Nico, who, as they say.
Nico, who? I mean, Nico found out who Kyle Whittingham in the Utah Utes was. He found out what a Ute was, bro. But yeah,
man, they look good at Utah. I don't want to.
I know, and
Sean,
I would have moved them up.
Excitements, but they look good.
Yeah, I mean, 25 is probably fair, right, for them. But again, they're just ass kickers every single year in and out. Even when they're not great and they're not winning games, they're still going to punch you in the face, just like that Georgia Tech team. I would love, honestly, a Georgia Tech Utah game this year. I don't know if it's going to be. It could be in the playoffs. I mean, there's a possibility. But even if they don't make it, that's a great bowl game on paper. Indiana. I know, and I like Signetti a lot.
I don't think it's going to be a repeat of last year.
I don't.
But again, there's still time for them to show.
There's not everything. Yes, exactly like that. SMU, interesting team as well. I've been pretty high on them in the ACC. Wasn't necessarily too impressed with.
Yeah, they got to stay quiet against an East Texas A&M team, which is nice for them.
Yeah,
but their quarterback can beat you, a Sellers-esque type, where one game, if you don't have an answer for him and he figures it out, he can either kill you with his arm or kill you with his legs. He can win you a football game if need be in the right environment. So they're always going to be a tough out, depending on what you're coming into that game with. Yeah, it's going to be interesting for week 2, aside from the rivalries that we mentioned and local. These are going to be great games. ESPN Game Day is going to Oklahoma for Michigan, Oklahoma, but are they really the 15th and 18th best team in the country? Not really. Just off this first week, they end up being. I don't really have a ton of hopes for Oklahoma
on paper, though.
In the big picture.
On paper, where else were you going to go? I mean,
I guess they could have went to Iowa if they wanted to have some fun, maybe to check that game out.
Exactly. But the last time Michigan and Oklahoma played, if you could say this, come up with a number or a date.
No, I'll just say Bob Stoops and hope that that's the coach at the time.
Stoops is 80s, right?
No, he was the guy that did all the 2000s winning.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of.
You'd have to go to the Cowboys coach.
Yes, that's who I'm thinking. I'm sorry, I got confused. 1974 was the last time Michigan and Oklahoma played. So, from a blue ball perspective,
Switzer was the answer.
Barry Switzer was
our generation, but Barry's still kicking. We can call Barry right now and see what he has to say about that.
He honestly probably would pick up and be down to talk football, but yeah, but so a quarterback perspective, though, I mean, Underwood versus Mateer, should be great.
Yeah.
I have Oklahoma winning. I think their defense is a little better, and I'm a Mateer stan just because he was in the Pac-12 last year and he was really impressive. Also, as a now legal gambler on the East Coast in New Jersey,
get your futures in now, Dan. I got Heisman and player props. We can't do that. You got to go to Jersey back home for that stuff.
I'm rooting for Oklahoma to win because I think it would be better for college football if Oklahoma won this weekend.
At least in the early going for them to keep a number by their name. And even if people don't know anything about their team, be like, oh, Oklahoma's back.
Oklahoma won. Yeah, exactly. They're kind of in that same realm of like a USC, Miami, Texas, right? If Oklahoma is good, people care about college football. So I think for the greater good of the sport, Oklahoma winning this weekend would be great for absolutely everything. And again, Mateer is an animal. I mean, he was really good at Washington State. He's had obviously some off-field issues going on with him, but it kind of seems like it was just kind of like, hey, we're pretty bored and we're just going to come up with absolutely anything just to talk about right now. So yeah, man, should be a great week 2. Not as good as week 1, but still we're going to watch.
Cyhawk is a 3.5-point favorite in favor of the Cyclones side. I like that just because I know of Rocco Becht, and I know that their offense can move the football consistently. Can never say the same about Iowa's. So that's where I could lean easily with that one. And the other close spread, Baylor going to SMU. Baylor's first loss there were flashes in the line. Didn't do them any favors trying to stop the run. Offensively, I think Sawyer Robertson will keep them honest and they'll be fine offensively. It was the defense where it was like, ooh, a couple oohs. Stuff where like, I don't know, you're going to be able to fix this not in just a week, but like overall, this might just be your biggest flaw this season because everybody joking obviously with North Carolina. You can't just go out and sign a couple guys in 3 weeks from the trading block and throw them into your lineup. Like you're stuck with these dudes, whether you like it or not. And if you have other people on your roster that can help you out with that. So that's a 3-point spread. I guess, seeing what SMU can have in store, you give them the advantage being at home and throwing them 3. So that should be a decent pick'em game for another crossover with Big 12 and ACC. But for the most part, week 2, every favorite is pretty much okay. The only drama that's come is Mike Gundy saying that Oklahoma State doesn't spend any money on their football program while Oregon does, and Dan Lannon being like, yeah, we like spending money to win football games, Mike. What's the problem? So they had a little back and forth, and it's like, what are we arguing about here? But Dan Lanning's response is hilarious. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, we're allowed to do that, and so are you.
Sure,
Mike.
We have money, but like, why wouldn't we spend it on being good at football, man? Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. Look who the stadium's named after. You got no boosters left to help you guys? Just because you didn't go to the transfer portal for the whole time it existed till this past season. You want to come at me? Come after me? I'm Dan Lanning. I coach Oregon.
Dude, Dan Lanning thrives off that too. If there's one guy will take that and run and get his whole team to believe anything he says, it's Dan Lanning. So yeah, I have Oregon winning that game by a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be a great weekend, bro. It's gonna be a great week.
A quick toast or roast to get out of here. Speaking of Mike Gundy,
yeah,
toast or roast to him doing a consumer cellular commercial.
One more time, what?
Consumer Cellular commercial, 3 seasons in a row. That was just brutal.
We'll take your money
Big
too, dude. We'll do
wants to
commercials.
come after me. I'm a man. I'm not 40. I'm 58. Why would I overpay? Big Wireless makes me want to puke. I wonder if I could play this here and have everybody hear it. Knowing him doing this commercial, there's definitely a copyright involved, because you would think he heard Dan Lanning come after him for not spending enough money, and he thought, oh, yeah, I'll do this commercial and get as much money as I want, put it toward the football program. He won't. He'll keep it for himself.
Yeah.
Come after me, I'm 40, randomly for a CC commercial at 58 years old. Nothing fun with your age, nothing fun with who you're going back after or who came after you. Just somebody, I guess, called and we're like, hey, we're Consumer Cellular. You want to do a commercial? Sure.
Yeah, okay. How much?
I'm roasting it. I'm glad that he is embracing his rant, but it not being for at least an anniversary or at least a big age for him as a person, and it not being in the Super Bowl or just a brand that people know of. This isn't going to be something anybody remembers, or is it going to stick with them? It looked like somebody that was taking a communications class at Oklahoma State had to make up a quick 30-second commercial, and they had him do it after the press conference in where he does the press conferences, and just, hey, here's a quick script. Can you shout out the cafeteria real fast for my grade? Thanks, coach. They could have did so much better with it. I'm roasting how it all turned out. I'm toasting this being done in general, but this just wasn't the time or the place.
Not the time or the place, and it was random, and I honestly thought it was AI. Like when I first saw it, I was like, this is fake, right? And I think we're a lot of us who probably are listening to this podcast who've been fooled by AI multiple times. Sure. I was like,
much like when
AI.
Mike Gundy's nipples were out because he lifted up his shirt at a press conference this week as well. What's happening over there? That's got to be AI too.
AI, right?
The nipple ring, at least with Ryan Day, we could figure out his Photoshop as funny
exactly.
and as true as it could potentially be. But Mike Gundy getting involved with a couple things this week. It's like, what's happening?
I'm going to roast the whole idea of it, but I'm going to toast to his improv skills, because I do think he had a script, but I do think he got carried away in remembering that press conference, and it was like, oh, okay, like this is pretty okay, this is kind of cool. But then when he just started dropping like this, whatever it's called, the cellular service, I'm like, oh, here we are. So I kind of get it now. So I will roast the entire idea of it, but toast to his improv skills. For a football coach to kind of pull that off and get into the character of whatever he was trying to be, he hit it, but kind of awkward.
Shout out to Consumer Cellular. If you want to sponsor our show, we'll scream a 30-second ad read every week. You think Mike Gundy can get amped up? You wait and see what we'd be like supporting your cell phone service. I'll drop whatever I have to follow in your footsteps. You don't have to worry about that. Shout out to Jenny Carlson. I don't know if she's going to get any royalties for this. She's at the Oklahoma now. She's the one that wrote the story in general that he blew up over because of different random quotes that he pulled out from the paper that he held in his hand for the original rant. Check it out on YouTube, kids. Won't take you long to find. It was one of the OG viral videos back in the days of YouTube. This brings a tear to my eye. A drop that every radio show covering college football has used for the past however many years it's been now, close to 20. So
could we figure out how to get a drop board on this podcast? Could we figure it out?
Figure that out.
Yeah, Sammy, what up?
Our interns,
get us a drop board.
Our producers will put in the word out. Maybe somebody from cellular cell phone service can help do it for the next time. They probably got iPads or whatever they call their tablets that we could have going for the show to figure out. So yes, folks, week 2 is not going to be as satiating as week 1 was. Think of it as the like sherbet ice cream that these ritzy places bring you to cleanse your palate, and eventually the main courses will come back out, and the weeks down the road will definitely be worth your time. But there's a little recap for you of week 1. We gave you a couple bit of picks for week 2, at least games worthy of picking of. You could obviously go any direction you want on the lesser games, and we recommend that you would, because that's what makes this fun. But that does it for this week's The Sick Media Coast to Coast College Football Show. I'm at London Bridge. He's at Dan Lynch Sports, SPURTS on Twitter. You could also follow us at SickPodCFB. We'll have different videos and clips from the show. You can comment on things there, or tell us what we're doing wrong, or offer a question or complain, or yell at us for being in our 30s. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify is where you can find the show. Like, subscribe, review everything you've heard from all your favorite shows. We'd appreciate it. We'll get back to you guys after exciting week 2. Dan, enjoy New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
New York, New York. Happy football, baby.
Shout out Alicia. Shout out Frank.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Coast to Coast College Football on YouTube, X, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.